Welcome to the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies, where there's always another secret.
Love is in the air, every whisper of the wind. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 51 of the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies. Today is February 24th, 2020. I am Bill, and I am joined, as always, by my adoring co-hosts, Jordan and Amy. Welcome, guys.
Hello. Thank you.
How's it going?
Of course, before we get started, we do want to remind you that the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies is not a spoiler-free podcast. That means if there is something in the Cosmere you haven't read and are worried about hearing spoilers, you might want to go read those first, then come back and join the discussion. Today, in particular, we're going to be focusing on Rosharan and the Stormlight Archive, so that particularly is the one that you want to be the most careful about. That said, we are considering everything open game, so there is a chance that something else might creep in. You have been warned. In tonight's episode, we are going to continue our discussion about romance in the Cosmere. This time we're focusing specifically on the romantic relationships on Rosharan. Amy wants me to call it Rosh-mance, but I refuse. And Amy is probably going to squeak. And Amy is probably going to squeak in several times tonight because all of this mushy stuff kind of does that to her.
I know, it's the mushy
That's who
stuff.
she is.
Yes.
For those of you who listen to the podcast recordings or you watch the videos on YouTube, we do want to remind you that you can actually listen and interact with our recordings live via chat as we record at www.twitch.tv/innkeeperstable. We record our episodes every other Monday night, starting at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. We're actually a little late tonight. That's my fault, but those of you listening to the podcasts and recordings, that doesn't even affect you. So why did I even tell you that? Anyway, do please join us, though. Take an active part in the discussion and just be there as part of the chat. It's great. We've got a lot of great people in the peanut gallery. They're always throwing out snarky comments and making us laugh, and it's just great. We would love to have you join us there as well. And a lot of times they make insightful comments that help drive the discussion. The Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies is made possible by the support of our listeners and patrons. The show will continue to be free, but if you want to help us out, just out of the goodness of your heart, you can head over to patreon.com/Cosmere Studies. You can pledge $1 or $2 per episode. Even that much really helps us out as we work to improve the show. Patrons do get immediate access to our Discord channel, where we continue the discussion about the show and the Cosmere with our listeners, as well as other topics. It's just a lot of fun. It's a great community. Lots of great discussions. You will also get early access to bonus episodes, exclusive access to bonus content, and just, you know, it's just fun to have you in the Discord. So we'd love you to do that. Now, before we start, guys, something really cool happened today.
I know.
If you've been following Brandon's social media at all, he posted a picture of a statue that he commissioned. The past week or two ago, we had LTUE, Life, the Universe, and Everything, which is a local science fiction and fantasy symposium that Brandon often takes part in. And he met with the sculptor that he has commissioned to make a sculpture of Vin. And guys, this thing is absolutely stunning. I wish that our audio-only listeners could take part in this. If you are an audio-only listener, go check out Brandon's Instagram account, which is instagram.com/brandsanderson. And he has a picture of him with a few pictures of this statue, and it's just gorgeous.
He's pretty.
Yeah, it is. The tassels of the mist cloak are just everywhere, and
they're unreal.
Mm-hmm.
And it just
super pretty.
I posted it in the Discord today, and everybody's just like, I want one.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a little better than a Funko Pop.
Maybe we can get Brandon to, put like really expensive molds of it up on
miniaturized ones
up on his store.
I'm sure
Yeah.
they'd sell.
Maybe that'll be a Kickstarter add-on.
Yeah, that
I
thing
want it.
is just so good.
It makes me
I-
sad for how bad my sculpting skills are.
Yeah. It's just, anyway, I want it. I'm not sure what it's made of.
I'm
I
guessing
can't
it's.
quite tell.
I'm thinking it's probably clay right now,
It looks like some sort of clay.
and then they might coat it in something. I'm not sure. I used to know more, but I don't
just-
remember exactly how they do it.
And just so y'all know, the picture that he's posted, that's still currently a work in progress, so it's not done yet. But like, even if it
It's
was,
just
that's
nuts.
amazing.
Yeah.
Just have one of those. You just stand it at the top of the stairs. Guests come in, see it,
The grand
scream.
ball, to walk in.
Well, it makes me wonder if that's supposed to be like because there's a statue of
The
him
one over in the park or something, right?
in the graveyard. I think it is.
it's-
There's a
As the
statue
Ascended
of him
warrior.
in the
It could be.
graveyard. Yeah, because there's a whole scene with
Marasi. Yeah.
Yeah, where she's just like, oh, she was so perfect.
She had it all together.
I bet she never doubted herself. And it's just like, she was so terribly, terribly
We
broken.
all do. It's just
Oh,
reality.
sweet honey child.
If only you knew.
Only knew.
But yeah, so seriously, just check that out because it's kind of awesome.
It's
Beyond that, though, Amy is actually going to take the lead again on tonight's discussion. So I'm going to just toss it over to you, Amy. And
so yes,
That was
it's
the
fun
sound of her
times.
catching it as he tossed it to her.
already, I'm afraid
Don't worry, my
We haven't
children wore
even
me out.
we haven't even started the discussion, and she's squeeing.
It's fine. It'll be fine. So I sadly had to have it pointed out to me that there's more than two couples because apparently I got really focused when I was making my notes. But I have a lot of notes for two of them, and then we have other couples too. So the first one that it's more than just a couple. It's a triangle. Yes. So
Anything
if nobody knows
involving
what,
Shalon isn't a triangle. It's a three-dimensional object at that point.
It's a
that
great.
we can't name anymore.
It's a great rhombicosite dodecahedron.
Yeah, that's a word I'm never going to say. No, not saying that word. But yes, the parts I'm going to focus on are Shalon and Adolin, and then Shalon, Kaladin, that almost happened. Spoiler there already, see? So this one, like with a lot of romance stories, there's always triangles or some other guy who's trying to get with the girl, or two girls trying to get with the guy, but it's usually two guys with the girl. But here we have the different aspects of Shalon, who has lots of aspects, so that makes it more interesting.
Makes me think
Yeah.
of Legion. For some reason, Brandon likes this multiple personality thing.
There's only two characters who have it, right?
Well-
Shalon and Legion.
Shalon, Vale, and Radiant all have
Well,
it.
They all share one
I'm just
body.
saying.
Yes, it goes further than that, but we're on the romance part, not on the multiple personality whole thing. Let's see. So one of the cutest moments that I loved it was when towards the end when Adolin was like, all right, Kaladin's one, I'm gonna let him have you, to Shalon, and Shalon has none of it. She's like, no, I'm picking, and I pick you.
Well, it kind of reminds me of the scene in Return of the Jedi when in the Ewok village when Han's talking to Leia, or not the Ewok village, they're out in the woods. There's woods and bears.
There's
around.
woods.
That's all I know.
Endor
Anyway.
somewhere.
Yeah, but when Han says, you love him, don't you? And she's like, well, yes. He says, okay, when he comes back, I won't get in the way. And she
I'll
just
just-
looks
I'll
at him
just-
like,
Yeah.
No, different kind of
difference
love.
is instead of her being like, she's my brother, Shalon's like, he killed my brother.
yeah. That does put a damper on their relationship.
It does
Yeah, but he
indeed.
looked so cool doing it.
Oh yes. Like it's just the artist in her that's like, and Vale in her that thinks that Kaladin is the better choice versus Adolin. Mm-hmm. The straight lace versus the troublemaker who looks artful with the wind going through his hair and the flying. Flying is tough to beat. If someone can fly, that's just pretty cool. Not gonna
Kaladin's
lie.
the bad boy.
Yeah, I felt weird calling him the bad boy, But
Kaladin's the worst bad boy I have ever seen.
Stay golden, pony boy.
yeah. Anyway, but there's a lot of times in romance stories and things like that, there's tons and tons of tropes and cliches. And I don't read enough romance stories to know all of them, but Brandon does touch on a few.
I was going to say that Kaladin's the bad boy with the tattoo, but he technically he can't get a tattoo because his body won't let him.
And on top of it, he's
just branded.
His brand literally just basically says trouble.
Yeah, it does.
Dangerous is what it says.
Which is basically trouble.
Which is what every mother is wanting for their daughter.
We're going to take him home for dinner. Oh, yeah, that'll be great.
Of course, to be fair, Shalon probably doesn't really care what her mother thinks.
Yeah, her mother's dead and her stepmother is in hiding, or what?
That's true. Her stepmother, yeah.
Yeah, her stepmother was okay, but...
Yeah.
Shalon doesn't take anybody home for dinner because she doesn't go home. So,
not exact. Yeah. No, in fact, she brought her family home for dinner at this point.
Yeah, she's bringing them to her. So that'll be interesting in book 4, seeing all of Shalon with her siblings, if they play much of a part.
I am really interested to see some reaction between her math-obsessed brother and Rosharan.
Ooh.
I'm expecting at least the eldest one who hurts things.
Non-Balat?
Yeah, I couldn't remember his name. I think he'll become a Radiant at some point.
I think you're right.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, that would be interesting.
I could see him being a Dustbringer.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, the Dustbringer destruction.
But
I don't know.
Creepy. At least hopefully he'd stay on the not Teravantian side.
That's another romantic pairing that we didn't list.
What?
Non-Balat and his girlfriend.
Oh, yes. And I forgot her name.
Or he married her, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think...
He did marry her, so his wife.
I think so.
Well, because that was what... wasn't that
who
what
was
sent
writing
his
for him?
father into the final rage that...
Yeah, but I wasn't sure if they'd,
I don't think they were married yet, but I think they were engaged.
They were planning to.
Or something.
Yeah, I think they were doing that behind his back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have to do everything behind his back, because he's not a nice man.
But yeah, the Kaladin, Shalon,
that's what it was. They were
Adolin
going to run
triangles.
Texas, right?
Oh, that's right. They were going to try and Romeo and Juliet it, and then instead they,
Macbethed it.
Yeah. More Hamlet.
Yeah.
Yeah, more Hamlet. Yeah. No, I've never liked Romeo.
As long as they
Juliet.
didn't Midsummer Night's Dream it, I think we're fine.
Oh, yeah, that one gets trippy. Super trippy. Yeah.
So back
but it was interesting seeing the different ways that like Kaladin and Vale worked out, because they both have the darker side of things and like attracts like, but a lot of times in those kind of relationships where it's both really dark, they get destructive together and it leads them into a darker, worse situation. Whereas with Adolin, he helps her out and lifts her up and brings out her better aspects.
What's interesting about Shalon and Kaladin and Adolin is that Kaladin and Adolin are kind of really the only times where Shalon almost directly interacts with the other personalities. Because, like, she notices Vale kind of peeking out and watching Kaladin and, and then Radiant, she sees Adolin, it's Adolin. But it's like she directly acknowledges them, and it's almost like they have a sort of subtle conversation between the two. Mm-hmm. The other, she's like, I'll let them come out and stuff, but that's the most, it seems like she is interacting with them.
Yeah, compared to they take over.
Yeah, but the big difference between Kaladin and Adolin is Kaladin, because he doesn't know what he's really looking for, he isn't really aware of this part of Shalon at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas Adolin has started to figure it out.
And and she's confided in him about it as well.
Yeah.
And which is one of the, so you go on Reddit and there's all these posts asking about, just Reddit's full of all sorts of posts about everything, but there's a lot talking about like
that is the most
this
generic
triangle
summary of Reddit that was accurate ever.
right? But but a lot of people speculate about, is there still a triangle? What's going on here? And everybody has their ship that they like.
Oh yeah.
But this is why I'm very, very much in the camp of Shallan and Adolin. It's just they're better for each other. For one, she trusts him more. Like because she's shared
vulnerable.
things with him that nobody else knows about.
They're also just a better fit because both have deep, dark secrets.
That again, they admitted to each other before anyone else.
And I love
the
reactions to
Cal
it.
is too honest for it.
And neither of them pulled it out of the other. They both volunteered the information.
Yeah, and they had the good supportive response of, Sadeas deserved to die. And I can't remember what Adolin said about her killing her father.
I don't think she told him that.
Has she not told him yet?
I thought she did.
I thought she told that to Kaladin because she told him her life story.
Oh,
when they were in the caverns and thought they were going to die.
I think she referred
How do
to
I
it.
already
I don't
need
know
another
that she
read through these?
This is why the Stormlight reread that they're doing over on the subreddit is a thing.
Oh man, and it's sad because I was all ready to start reading other books, and now it's like, no, Amy, you need to start going back into Stormlight.
Brandon, get back on the treadmill.
But I don't want to read other things. I have a big
There
list.
is no other things. Brandon Sanderson is your world now.
Jim Butcher will have to wait.
But I'm not even getting to the Butcher books. Anyway, I was trying to read Charlie's books actually because I read one of her first books and I need to read her second and third.
For our listeners, she is talking about Charlie Ann Holmberg, who is a friend of the podcast and is kind of amazing. And if you want to hear her on the show, you should go listen to our Shadows for Silence episode.
I'm so glad you remember
the first year.
I couldn't remember which episode we had her.
I remember because it was our spooky one. I don't remember what number it was, but it's that episode. But yes, anyway, so there's a love triangle, and I mean there was lots of things. I actually had a friend who was going through the Stormlight Archive, and she's like, "Oh, I really like Kaladin and Shallan together," and I was like, "I can't say anything." I was like, "I'm not going to say anything."
Here's the thing: when the whole chasm stuff started happening, I remember getting really worried because it was like, "Oh no, Brandon's going to do the triangle," and I liked that he cut that short pretty quickly. And so I was just like, okay, he's not doing the whole long drawn out. Will they? Won't they? Who's she going to choose? That was resolved within a book.
Yeah, it was really pretty quick, and it wasn't miscommunication that was making the problem, and it was Vale who was leaning more towards Kaladin, which makes sense with Shallan versus Shallan can't decide. She has split personality stuff going on, so it makes more sense why different parts of her to be drawn to different people.
But I really appreciated that Brandon handled it that way because, well, the other thing is, everybody's like, well, but she noticed, so clearly they have to be together. I'm like, no. Sometimes you just see somebody, you're attracted to them. That doesn't mean you're destined to be together. And I appreciate you
can still look at someone and go, that's attractive. I would find them attractive, but I'm already in this relationship.
Yeah.
So I can say, yeah, that's pretty. That could be nice, but I'm here.
I appreciate him handling it that way.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I just never saw it. It never made any sense to me whatsoever. So I was really worried it was going to be drawn out. So the fact that
that's because you're dead inside.
No, that's a different thing.
I shipped them for a little bit, but then as soon as I saw more Shallan and Adolin, I was like, oh, but that's so cute.
Well, and they were adorable.
They are adorable. It's an R, not were. They are.
I still remember the first time Adolin sees Shallan. It reminded me of the first time that Aladdin sees Jasmine when she takes the hood off, and he just goes, wow.
Yeah.
Just that's Adolin right there, because it's just the most genuine, knocked your socks off. And of course it fits the trope of heroes want redheads. And so
the fiery redheads, yeah. Oh,
the other thing I really like about it is just how they back each other up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's
Absolutely.
something that you don't. At least I haven't seen it as much in, these romances, which I don't have the greatest breadth of it at all. But they tend to focus too much on the infatuation and the love and not enough on the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have each other's backs.
Well, and I love because there are so many times where they're worried that what they say is going to ruin everything. Because, in all fairness, both of them have had some pretty screwed up relationships in the past. You know, Adolin just cannot find...
He's been through all of the
matches
girls.
Him.
Literally
And
the entire war camp.
And Shallan's last crush tried to murder her. So, you know, it's just...
And I mean, that was her first and only real crush otherwise. And I mean, she's been sheltered and cloistered and she's got all sorts of messed up family background. So
what happens is both of them are kind of paranoid. And so both of them are just like, you know what, I'm just going to lay it all out on the table. Well, let's just end this now.
Don't crush me.
And both of them respond with, huh.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah, like one of the things that
My last girlfriend turned into the moon.
Oh, that's rough, buddy.
It's sort of like when you drop a plate and then it doesn't break. You're just like, oh,
that's
a pleasant
cool.
surprise.
Yeah.
The opposite of my one roommate who said, no, it's Pyrex. It doesn't, it won't break at all. Watch. And he takes a plate. Well, those things lose that property the moment you microwave them at all. He didn't know this. Not only did it break, it shattered into the smallest pieces I've ever seen. It was like the bead ocean, and they went everywhere. And I think I laughed for 7 straight minutes.
He stepped into Shadesmar and it collapsed into beads.
Oh, man.
That's great.
Yeah, but I mean, it was nice to see how Shallan made sense in how, like, she leaned into some of the cliches, but usually the ones that made sense for, like, female insecurity with your body, because even in Roshar, that's a thing. And I mean, she was all sitting there going, well, I'm not built like that girl or that girl or that girl. She doesn't have the Alethi standards of being really curvy. But Adolin's like, no, she's hot. I think she's super pretty. And he likes her for... her for her.
He likes exotic women, which that's
not because she
yeah.
Sorry, she likes me for me.
I know. That's what I thought of, but I was like, her for her. It sort of works. Wrong words, but it's close enough. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of interesting to see how they both fit so well, and it makes me just go because it's so fun.
Now here's a question.
Yes.
Will Kaladin ever find love?
I don't know, that poor man.
He can, but I think he has to get to the 4th ideal before he'll ever move beyond the deaths.
That's very possible.
His ex, who talked to him about the fact that you need to learn to be there for the living.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's
she's
true.
100% right. He's so stuck in the past, he can't really move on.
Yeah. I feel like there's going to be someone, possibly, and if Kaladin survives, because who knows what's going to happen.
Don't say that. It scares me.
I'm not saying it's going to happen or not going to happen. I'm saying we don't know because that's what Brandon has said. And so, like, Brandon does not want to take anyone's death off the table.
No.
Plot armor is a dangerous thing to give characters.
We just need Moash to die first if that's going to happen. That's my only huge requirement.
I think my favorite tinfoil hat ship that I've seen on Reddit is that Syl is going to pull a Tinkerbell and Hook and become a real live girl. And
what?
I'm just like, no, that's not going to happen.
That'd be a little weird.
Now watch.
I can see
that's
people
exactly
do it.
what happens, and I'm forced to eat my words.
Brandon's just listening to this, and he's just steepling his fingers.
We have pictures of that. There's an amazing meme that he gave from one of the YouTube
things where he does that.
And somebody asked him to do a good Mr. Burns.
Oh, they did. That's right.
And he dove into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's fun.
But, it's,
actually, the other crazy one is I see people trying to pair him with Yesna, and I just laugh.
No,
I'd love it.
She would stomp all over him.
I'd love it from a story perspective, just from a slap kiss moment where they just argue and suddenly there's nothing, and then like they're hiding it for a full book or something stupid.
She's like literally almost twice his age.
Cougar? Yeah. And I don't see him
So-
wanting to be
Is
king.
she that much older than him?
She's mid-30s, and he's like 18, 19, 20.
Oh, well,
Is he that young?
Yeah.
yeah, he starts out, I mean, by the next book, he's going to be like 21, maybe? Because it's like
For
a
some
year,
reason in my
I think.
head, he's always like mid-20s.
I know. You think of him that way, but he's
No.
really not, which makes
He's
me feel a
very
little
young.
better. Makes me feel a little better about some of the things that he does. I'm like, okay, if you're just
Oh, yeah,
19, then it makes more sense.
He's a dumb
That you're-
kid. He's a very competent dumb kid.
Yes,
And he's
he
a
was
very
forced to grow
intelligent
up.
dumb kid. But
Yeah.
and I'm allowed to make these judgments because I'm old. So
I think we are all.
and I say, I say old. Compared to many, I am not
Maybe
old.
that's why I
Compared to
really
others,
like
I feel
Yasna
very
so
old.
much. She's actually in my age bracket.
Yep.
Jordan's got a crush.
Aww.
Oh, I have an unmitigated crush on Yasna. It's perfectly okay and normal.
Yep, it's normal.
This is
It's a
what
normal
normal
thing that
people
normal
do.
people do.
Just
Yep.
don't start calling your waifu or something like that. Don't do that.
Oh, so the pillow that I ordered, is that going to be an issue?
Oh, that's just.
I
you
have
don't
an
need-
issue with that. That is not coming in my house.
Don't
I
tell
will not.
anybody.
That definitely sounds like a sentence a well-adjusted adult man says.
Oh man.
I have to breathe. Okay. Yes. So,
All right, so Amy.
yes, this is so organized, so wonderful. Yes. Oh, before I forgot, I have to share this. There was a post on, I think it was on Twitter, and it was by Cosmere Mess, and they have a little quote from like a pretend conversation between Adolin and Shallan, and it's Adolin, "How's the most gorgeous person on Earth doing today?" Shallan, without looking up, "I don't know. How are you?" Adolin, "I'm fine."
Oh, it's adorable.
It's
Then-
adorable. That just like epitomizes the adorableness to me.
I think
Yeah,
you're
there-
talking about Cosmere memes.
Cosmere memes.
I think that's
Did I say that wrong? Oh my goodness.
I think
All-
that's the.
All
The
I know
account that
is
did that.
they're in that part of the relationship where I do want to watch both of them be lit on fire.
What?
When they start just, no, you. Just,
Oh,
it's just like,
goodness,
no,
no.
someone
Chull
needs to
cakes.
die now.
Oh,
It's very
I
chull
don't think
cakes.
No, you're the chull cakes.
chill cakes. Aw.
It's just
And then I
like,
start pulling on my Harley
anyone
Quinn.
could just-
Ugh.
Just a small
Anyway.
laceration would really solve this
Gag me with a
conversation.
shard fork.
Oh, poor Wendell. Anyway, so the other big relationship that came to mind. Do you want to go to Dalinar and Navani, or do we want to do with the little ones first? Or
Well, let's go for Dalinar and Navani. Are
It's
you
okay.
kidding?
yeah, this is the one that I feel I relate to a lot more than I want to admit, even though I'm not quite to that stage of my life. My children are not grown; they are still small, but I feel a deep connection to this relationship. Oh my goodness, yes.
Speaking of characters that I love, Navani is one of my absolute
She's
favorites.
so awesome. Like it's we've talked about it before, but like you learn to appreciate her so much more after you find out what's going on with her. Like the
yeah.
first book, it's hard to like
Again,
her
the
as
first
much.
book, you only see her through Dalinar's eyes, and it's like it's with absolute devotion and a modicum of terror.
Devil
like,
woman,
that's the
why
thing.
do you vex me so?
Well, that's the thing is, this is the Blackthorn, and she's one of the few things that rattle the Blackthorn.
Scares him 'cause he doesn't know how to deal with feelings and all of that.
Well, and
and she's just so confident about
and
it.
persistent.
And she breaks all of the norms in the social contracts because they're supposed to be like they're considered brother and sister since they were.
But the thing is, she
in-laws-ish.
sees him and she knows him and she recognizes that he feels the same way. She's not like forcing herself on a man who is uninterested. She's
Yeah.
just like, you feel this. I see that you feel this, and I've been reserved for long enough. Do something.
She's like, I'm here. I'm bored. I'm single. What are we gonna do this or what? Yeah.
Well, and on top of it, it's for her. There's a lot of confusion with it as well because she knows both Dalinars,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
Dalinar doesn't know both Dalinars.
And she doesn't know why he made the huge switch, or at least not
Right.
the real reason.
Well, remember, she thinks that he's mourning her. She doesn't know that
That he's
he can't
forgotten
hear her
Evie
name
completely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Evie or Evie?
Evie.
Evie.
I say Evie, but
Yeah,
I
the
don't know.
opposite of mourning her.
He has no memory of her.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine. It would be interesting to have been in Navani's head when he finally tells her that I don't remember who her name or anything like that, and just for her to go back and go, oh my goodness, and make all those new connections for that's why he acted that way. He had no memory of her.
Well, and then when suddenly he can remember and he tells her, and it's just like, this is strange. What with them being married and all, and now suddenly he remembers his dead wife.
Yeah. And realizes, no, I killed her. Yeah, that's cool.
The thing I really like about them specifically is they have completely opposite competencies, but are completely aligned in temperament and philosophy. Because
and
both very much don't care for tradition. Because they're very utilitarian people. But they both have completely different skills that complement each other so well. I think it's one of the other reasons she pursues him. He's not just a good match for her emotionally, which is obviously very important in relationships for it to actually work, but he's also a smart match for her politically. And given the stations they occupy, it's just like, let's just get this done, because this isn't just about us. It's also for the good of the kingdom.
Well, and then they're both devoted parents. They're both just, like you said, they just have these strong moral and just these purposes. Like they worked for a cause, both of them.
Well, and they love the same people.
Have been.
Because they both loved Gavilar. They both loved Elhokar. They both love Yasna.
And Adolin and Rosharan.
Yeah.
It's just, and so even though it's weird because they're in-laws, it actually gives them a lot in common.
Yep.
Plus, I love that she's taming him and civilizing him.
She gives him a watch and makes him show up to things on time.
He's just like, grumble, mutter, snarl.
He's like, she's doing this to me. This is terrible. But I mean, I think I've commented, probably when we're talking about Oathbringer and different things, about how she supports him in so many different things in ways that he's not noticing, which I feel weird bringing it up again. But like, I feel like I do that for my house a lot, where I take care of the things that nobody seems to think about because that's in my wheelhouse. And if nobody's going to do it, then I'm the only person who's going to handle it otherwise.
Right.
And so it made me sit there and go, oh my goodness. Brandon has talked to his wife about all these different things, and other women in his life and anybody else who's played a support role that way, and just managing all the things to make everything run smoothly, whether it's an army or a house or a family or whatever else.
Well, and she's the ultimate glue person. Like she does not seek the spotlight, which is very interesting for this girl who's considered, growing up, she's the unattainable beauty, and and most other genres would be the popular girl, but she doesn't crave the spotlight. She craves to be a catalyst.
Well, like
and to create
when she's talking about artifabrians, she doesn't consider herself to be an artifabrian. She considers herself to be a patron. She wants to make these things happen. She doesn't have to be the one to do them herself. Now that said,
she would love to be the one who gives $1 to $2 a month to the good cause.
Wow!
Ding!
Wow! Cheers.
Yep, right there.
Wow. Jordan, our little mercenary.
Anyway, so one of the things I thought was interesting was both of their sets of children seemed to share some traits a little bit in some ways, that both Yasna and Adolin are both super competent at what they do and very much overshadow their younger siblings, poor Elhokar and Rosharan. And that I don't think Elhokar and Yasna have a bad relationship or had a bad relationship, but I'm sure there was some definite jealousy on Elhokar's part, and he's just horribly insecure.
Well, and the frustrating thing is with Elhokar, honestly, given another 10, 15, 20 years, if Gavilar had lived, Elhokar probably could have been a decent king.
Yeah, I mean, but he had to witness assassination, and then all of these things just like, bam, piling on him, and he already probably wasn't secure enough and seasoned enough to handle it, and then it's dumped on him, and he has to go and avenge his father, and...
Well, and then he starts literally seeing shadows following him and develops a paranoia. And
it really makes me wonder if Shallan had been closer already, and if she had already been a Lightweaver, if she could have been like, wait, you're seeing what? Oh, this is what it is. And I wonder how that would have changed things to make it so that he could go, oh, they're not trying to hurt me. They're not trying to hunt me down.
Because we saw what she went through when she first...
It's freaky. Yeah, that would scare me. I mean, I have enough moments where I see something out of the corner of my eye, and if I was actually seeing something there, that would be so much worse. Let alone knowing that, like with Gavilar, that he'd been assassinated. That would be a definite concern that now you're in power and you have that worry over you too.
The thing that really complicated the relationship as well is the fact, because we see how both those characters view Elhokar, because we get perspectives of them thinking of them, and both Navani and Jasnah both don't think very highly of him, as far as competency goes. And people, the problem is people think Elhokar's dumb, and he's not dumb. He's not unobservant.
No.
He's very observant. He's just not very competent.
Yeah.
And he's super anxious about everything.
Well, like you say he's very observant. I mean, he was becoming a Lightweaver.
Yeah.
That right there, they are very observant. That is a very big part of who they are.
And even Jasnah and Navani, as brilliant as they are, they greatly underestimate how much he understood.
Yeah.
And it complicates their relationship with him so much.
Now, we've been talking about Dalinar and Navani. Can we do that? Look at them sort of as with a foil pairing / compare and contrast with Sadeas and Eli, because you've got these two absolute power couples, and I just think it's really interesting to look at those two relationships side by side.
I love Sadeas and Eli as a
oh my goodness.
I'm okay. I am a sucker for the romantic evil couple. It's a trope I love.
Really?
Oh, one of my favorite pairings is from Gargoyles, Fox and Xanatos. Because
rewatched that. It's so long.
I love couples who their couples time is the plotting and scheming and just how much they enjoy being bad guys together. Just something about that trope just amuses me to no end.
Or even, and it's not even being bad guys, because like with Fox and Xanatos, it's not so much being bad guys as just both loving being the smartest person in the room, and that just leads to bad guy stuff.
Well, and they love,
and they admire each other.
For this trope to work, they have to view the world as a game from a very they're not taking the world very seriously.
It's a clinical perspective.
Yeah,
almost.
And so
they're lacking empathy.
Yeah, because if you don't, if you have empathy and stuff, you can't play this game with people's lives. But if, like, that's the other thing I love about it. These are people who don't tend to care about others, yet there's something about the other one that, well, that person, I care about that person.
Yep.
It's the only other person I care about, but it's a
they
fun
are each
person.
other's, pet the dog moment. It's, they humanize each other.
Well, and I love seeing the flashbacks of Sadeas and ELA in the past to see that indeed Sadeas was Dalinar's friend and ELA was Navani's friend.
And seeing them scheming together and then poor Evie.
But you still
Evie
see
with
that they're schemers, that it's still a game to them. Whereas for even Navani, it was a bit of a game to her back then, a little bit.
Back then, yeah. But again, and to Dalinar back then.
Yeah, and it's one of these things that I just love their combination. And I am still waiting for the shoe to drop on ELA, who she did not spend Oathbringer playing the game very well.
No, I expected her to. Like, I remember seeing, when Sadeas went down at the end of book 2, I remember thinking ELA is going to be dangerous.
She's going to be scary.
Well, but the
Eli.
thing that's interesting, because you would expect, because she is supposed to be the foil to Davani, so you think of her as, oh, she's going to be this good political tactician. She's not, actually. Sadius was the political tactician. She was the spy master. She was the one getting all the information. So right now, she probably is one of these people. She has all the tools, but she doesn't have the person that could use them.
And put them all together and assemble the things and realize all the different connections that are going on.
And so, because Amaram's not good at this either, because Amaram's used to being able to operate from the shadows. If everyone assumes that he's this good person, but since Kaladin and Shallan have completely blown his cover, he wasn't able to operate under those circumstances either. I have a feeling ELA is going to be a much. I don't even think in book 4 she's going to be a big deal. My gut tells me book 5. ELA is going to have put the pieces together and go on a roaring rampage of revenge.
I think that's very, very possible.
And I want it because I love bad guys.
That would be interesting, yeah.
The opinions of the hosts of the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies do not represent the opinions of... No.
Financially responsible.
Fiduciary responsibility. What?
No,
I just like the
look. A good bad guy is what makes a good story, and
a good bad guy is what makes a good hero.
Yep.
Because without it, then there's not much for them to do. You need conflict for a story.
And so she's one that I just feel Brandon's setting us up, and I was prepared for book 3 for ELA to same thing, but seeing her fumble about, just like, no, Brandon, he put Chekhov's gun on the wall. This thing will fire at some point. Yep.
And I mean, you got to give her credit that she did love him to whatever extent.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
she's in mourning. So she's got probably some emotions that she's probably working through. As much as we don't like to think that she is capable of them, because she's
and clearly being manipulated on some level by the Ghost Bloods.
Oh, yeah, because she's got
she has
Mraize as one of her guards, so you can bet he's doing something crazy. So that's true. I didn't think about that connection. Yeah.
Does she know?
Ooh. Or does she think that he's working for her instead of the other way around?
Hard to know.
Because I don't see her being the actual head of the Ghost Bloods.
Oh, no, she's not. She's not.
So I can see her thinking
being manipulated.
And I can think that the question is, my question is, does she know he's a Ghost Blood?
I don't know.
I doubt.
I doubt it too.
And so that's the part that once she figures out what a Ghost Blood is, she's the spy mistress.
Of course, we don't know what the Ghost Bloods are still.
Yeah. That's a whole other thing.
Money's still on a Kelsier splinter cult.
There is some connection to Kelsier. That's the thing.
That's my thing. Ghost Blood. It makes so much sense. Think about it, people. Open your eyes. Or at least one of them.
Brandon saying that Kelsier would be leading the Ghost Bloods in a very, very short time, it means something.
Oh.
And again, he's Mr. Burnsing over in the corner, just as we say all these things.
Yes.
I'm really mad that we talked over her doing that evil laugh. We could have used that for something.
You have my audio separate. You can always pull it later.
That's right. I keep forgetting that. Never mind. We'll isolate it.
Yeah.
We have nefarious purposes.
Feels so used. Oh well. Yeah. So anyway, I from a little pulling back from a little bit, I did like that there was the connection of both younger children. Both felt slighted.
Mm-hmm. Well, overshadowed by this absolute golden child older sibling. Yeah.
Yeah, the blackthorn and then the blonde thorn. I don't remember is that canon or is that
just what I keep calling him?
Oh, that's right. You do that. I was like, where did I hear blonde-thorn? I know I've heard that.
Starting to bleed into reality.
It just works too well.
This show is going really well for me.
And then, and that's why the scene between Yasna and Renarin at the end of Oathbringer was just so cool, because she saw that younger cousin who was almost a sibling.
Mm-hmm.
And is now a sibling. Yeah. Not half sibling, step sibling.
Sibling, yeah. It gets weird.
Oh, the Alethi royals.
It gets crazy.
No.
Okay.
So, talking about other royals, there's Sabariel and Pelona. It's Pelona, right? I got that right. I think it's right.
I love
They're just
them
fun.
so much.
They're super fun. Oh my goodness.
I'm sure people are tired of hearing us gush about them, but I love
the
them.
jovial, non-evil Thenardiers. Every time they come on, I just hear "Master of the House."
Well, and because first, it like Dalinar and Navani, they share a love for breaking with tradition. Unlike Dalinar,
not just breaking with tradition, slapping tradition silly and leaving it on the road to rot.
Hey, in Sabariel's defense, he ain't never been excommunicated from his church because he refuses to marry her. She refuses to marry him because
They just live in sin.
I love that line. Yeah. And he's like, what? I don't understand why you marry her. I would never marry you. I can't remember what her line was. I'm not going to marry you. You're too, you can't afford me or something. It's just this great conversation of just, they love constantly getting each other's goat.
Well, and they kind of represent that long time couple. Like, they've been together forever. They absolutely adore each other, but they're also to the point where their relationship is so solid that neither of them is afraid to tug the other one's nose. Just
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just love the little things, like when she's talking all this gossip and he pretends he doesn't like it, but she finds he starts complaining if she just stops.
If she stops doing it, yeah.
It's it reminds me of the husband whose wife is watching soap operas and he just gripes about her watching them all the time, and then one day she is busy and doesn't turn it on, and he just sort of pokes at it and he's like, are you watching that today?
You
it's
gonna
oh
watch
no,
it?
I'm busy. Oh, are you sure? Because you always watch it, and I think you like it. Just
the other thing is that they are sort of the anti-Dalinar and Navani in that Dalinar and Navani try not to make a scene if they don't have to, but they try and make it look like they're not trying to make a scene, like it's an accident. They try to make a scene, but try to make it look like they're not trying to make a scene. Like when they show up to the battle of the tower, and she's reading a book in the middle of the store.
She is, yeah.
With an umbrella and just oh
yeah.
They're totally just like, what? Oh, is a storm happening?
Yeah, we're here.
This isn't a big deal. Oh dear. Just so, just love it. Just Dalinar's just like, these are my allies, people. This is what I'm forced to work with.
It's very. I'm going to use a German term here. It's a literary term, sprezzatura, and I'm probably completely butchering the pronunciation on that.
Especially since it sounded Spanish the way you said it.
It sounded Italian to
or
me.
Italian, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Sorry, again, I'm sprezzatura. I don't know how it's pronounced.
You have to say it angrier for it to be German.
Sprezzatura. Or something. I don't know.
Anyway, the concept is where you do something absolutely amazing and you downplay it as much as possible so that people see you do this and they're like, if that's nothing to them, what can they actually do? And that's just, it's just the same sort of concept. Mm-hmm. I know I butchered the pronunciation. I apologize for that. It's just
how many downloads do we get in Germany?
I don't know. Lots.
I don't know.
Let's just, let's see if that goes.
So if you know how to say that word, please instruct us. We wouldn't mind.
Please don't stop listening to us.
You can email a video of you pronouncing it properly to cosmerestudies@gmail.com.
It's going to be the shortest email response we get, but...
Hey, that's all right. Take it.
Anyway, moving forward.
So, Lyrin and Hessia.
So this one is an interesting one, I feel like. This is Kaladin's parents. Mm-hmm. And, they kind of represent the classical nuclear family.
Yeah.
Because it's the mom, the dad, and 2 kids. And Hessia, she outranked Lyrin.
Oh, I'd forgotten that. Yeah,
she's actually connected to some of the Light Eyes. Like she herself is not a Light Eyes, but
but she's got relatives who are.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, I remember there's some line about. I'm gonna look this up. There was something interesting about that.
Like, and I say some of the higher up. I'm talking about like I don't know if it's the Colin family or someone, but it's just like it's high up, but it's like distant cousins. So she was well off, and
now she's scraping creme off with her kids from and doing all these chores that are miserable.
But she's perfectly content because she's there for her family. Like, she is the person who walked away from potential absolute comfort, but is happier than she would have been in any other situation because she's with the people that she loves.
Mm-hmm. And it was kind of cute to see him again with the little brother who's
Oridon.
Yes.
I loved. Oh gosh, that was such
so cute.
That was such an emotional scene where Kaladin first meets Oridon, and just wow.
Yeah, and that would just be rough.
A little bit powerful.
Mm-hmm. But then again, her reaction when she sees Kaladin, because they thought he's dead. But we're not talking about the relationship with her son. We're talking about the relationship with each other.
Yeah.
Yes. And you see more scenes with Kaladin with one of them at a time, not so many with him with both of them.
The thing I like is you can tell Hestia doesn't always agree with Liren.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not afraid to let him know that. But at the same time, they support each other.
Yeah, they respectfully disagree. They don't have. I don't see them having screaming matches at each other or anything like that.
They both strike me as too logical for that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet the debates get intense, but I doubt they get
violent or loud
or angry
or angry like that.
And it always happens behind closed doors, away from the sons, because they back each other up in front of the sons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, because it was something that actually happened to me growing up. There was a time where my mom just sort of, pulled me aside and just like, no, you don't, because I talked back to my dad, and she's just like, no, you don't do that. I'm like, but he's wrong. She's like, it doesn't matter. You don't talk to your dad like that. And she just backed him up. And I know they fought. Like, you're a kid. You hear it happen. But they wouldn't do it in front of us because it was just the whole point of backing up the other one so that the kids understand that if the parents respect each other, I better respect them too.
And being a united front, because otherwise you have that, well, mom said, or well, dad said I could.
And it's not a, it's not a domination thing. It's not a submission thing at all. But you can disagree with somebody and still support them.
Mm-hmm. Which is really hard to do sometimes, but it's important for a relationship that way, yeah.
Well, and it's just, part of the reason it's probably so strong with them is just the simple fact that we know she sacrificed something to be with Liren. We don't know what. And so the love there has to be pretty dang strong to give up stuff. And they both just seem happy.
That's the other thing is you can tell that she's given something up, but you can also tell that given the same option, she would do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no regret there.
No, Hessia is a very unsung hero, in my opinion, of the Stormlight Archive. I think she's just a great, solid character.
And I'm sure she built as much into Kaladin's personality and his upbringing as much as Liren did, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even if Kaladin doesn't think back on it as much. Because there's quite a few scenes where Kaladin is spending time with his mom. And so I'm sure she was having conversations with him and helping build his moral code and everything.
Well, she clearly did.
It's like Liren is kind of the forge that helped kind of shape Kaladin, but Hessia was the hand that guided him and cultivated him.
Well, and you see it in the scenes like when she's clearing creme off buildings and Kaladin is like, why didn't you give me a more normal name?
Mm-hmm.
And she explains. And she just talks, like, just sort of shows him, like, we have high expectations of you. Like, this is... And so you get Liren, who's nowhere near as delicate about it.
No.
Because he's just a direct person. He's a surgeon. He makes sharp, cutting decisions. Whereas she can actually sort of explain it. And so Kaladin doesn't think as much on it, because also Kaladin doesn't really argue with her as much, because
well, the thing is, there are times where he kind of tries to, and she's just like, no, this isn't happening. This is the way it is. And to the point where
she's the kind of mom I want to be.
she's so confident and knowledgeable about what she's talking about that you feel foolish arguing with her.
And Liren is such a logical person that it's almost like Liren can't ever just lean on his authority. That's not the type of person he is. He just has to do it logically. Like when the villagers come to try and take the spheres, and instead of arguing with them, he just shines the light on them.
He talks them down, yeah.
And just like, no, this is like, if you're going to do this, you're going to do this with all of us knowing who did it.
Yeah.
And which is a very direct and very logical thing to do. Meanwhile, Hesina's in the back with the, or not
Hesina.
Hesea.
I think Hesina was like an original.
Well, Hesea is Hesi's Mythica, I think, is because there's Hesi's Mythica, there's Hesina, and there's someone else as well that has like a Hes name.
I'll go.
It throws me off every time.
Well, and the other thing is, her name. I'm fairly certain this was intentional on Brandon's part. Is Hestia is a part of the Greek pantheon. She's the goddess of hearth and home.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And so, but yeah, Hesina, that's her name.
Now, Brandon doesn't ever throw in that sort of care into stuff. You think?
The other thing is, I think that her name actually, like, in an earlier draft, her name was because I've seen it referred to as both, and I feel like it's because in an earlier, when Brandon does his draft, sometimes characters will show up under 3, 4, 5 different names because he hasn't decided on one for them.
Yeah.
Even within the same chapter, with the same paragraph, sometimes the name will be different, and just because he's trying it out and trying to figure out which works. And I think, and I could be completely wrong on this, but I feel like in an earlier version of it, it was one, then it was the other. But
anyway, Kaladin's mother, yes.
Yeah. But the other reason I really like her is just how she's a very open-minded person, which, like, Liren isn't closed-minded. Like, he's pretty accepting. Like, he takes the abuse the village comes with him pretty well, even though it's sort of rough. But she's able to do it with a smile somehow.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that, for Kaladin, who's so serious, it's a good counterbalance for him to sort of, because he takes things so seriously that her being able to just be like, it's okay. Given how dour he can get, I think it was just so good, and it's why they make for good parents, is they both provide such stability in their home for their kids.
Hesina is the proper name.
We've been getting it wrong.
My apologies. I'm the one who told you that name, and so that's all on me. My apologies.
Okay.
So,
Kaladin's mother. Yes, that's who we're talking about, right? So, Liren and Hesina. Should we talk about the not so solid relationship below them that we? Laurel and the Roshones.
Yeah, that was just such an interesting.
It makes
situation.
me think of, and it the fact that she was engaged to the son and then ends up marrying the dad totally makes me have to think back to medieval times where that was more of a thing, because otherwise that just makes me go ugh.
It's meant to be first of all, Brandon is totally guilty of the trope of perfectly arranged marriage, because it happens in Elantris, it happens in Warbreaker, it happens with Adolin and Shallan. Like, it happens all over the place. I think partly he did need to show at least, like, no, it's not all sunshine and rainbows with this whole arranged marriage thing.
Yeah.
And it's where politics overtakes what should be the relationship.
Well, and that said, it's really interesting to see Laurel's response to Kaladin when he comes back to Hearthstone. And because it seems like she calls Kaladin out and he's like, do you think you're gonna rescue me? Like I'm married to it. This is how it is. This
is my life. This is reality.
And like she's clearly not this shrinking little girl. She is the Light Eye's daughter that has been brought up to lead this town. And she says, this is my responsibility. This is how things are. There's no romance, but this isn't, a creepy hellscape type situation either. And she's just like, this is how it is. I am here to lead my people.
It's sort of a counterpoint to Shallan's father and his second wife.
Something with an M.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember her name.
I'm going to look it up.
Yeah,
they only mention her name a couple times.
Yeah, but it's sort of a counterpoint because that's a deeply flawed relationship that's just there to be there.
Oh, yes.
And I think the difference is that she sort of takes charge of the situation, where she just sort of says, the situation's crap, but I'm going to make the best of it. And we don't get a ton of it, but for what it's worth, we can see that Rosharan sort of respects that.
Mm-hmm.
That it could have been very easy for her to let him bowl her over, and her standing up to him and getting everything done and not letting it slow things down. It's not love in any of the traditional senses that we would do here, but it's a respect that it's clear that they have for each other. Even though we know Rosharan is definitely going to be murdered by Moash, probably in book 4.
Yeah, I would be surprised if that doesn't happen,
or
if at
by
least an
other
attempt
things
doesn't
that happen.
happen.
Oh, yeah. I think she's doomed as well, and that's what's going to be the Kaladin Moash coming to blows finally.
Oh, that's possible. Melise is the name of the second wife.
Right. Melise Devar.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's the one I'm just like, oh, being next to Rosharan is not a safe place with Moash flying around.
No.
Okay, so let's there's another, like, we've got a couple other relationships to talk about. There's one I do really want to talk about. And that's Rock.
Yes.
And his family. His Song, I think, is her.
Yeah, I looked it up. It's Song is how he translates his wife's name.
That is such a, like, again, it's a different perspective on a healthy relationship.
And we haven't seen too much of her, but I mean the way he talks about her and the little bit that
the way he talks about her, and the one scene, I think we only have that one scene where he's reunited with her.
Yeah, because we see a little more of his kids, because his kids help out with the cooking after that, but I don't think we see her as much.
Yeah, we don't.
But there is just an absolute respect and devotion there. But Rock, being the stoic that he is as well, it's just a very different sort of thing.
Stoic? I mean,
Rock,
pretty effusive.
He is jovial. He's jovial, but at the same time, he does. When I say sorry,
he keeps
probably
it private,
used the wrong term.
kind of.
He is very private about himself. But again, it's because these are things that are very important to him, and so he holds them close. He doesn't want to just throw around talk. This is something that he holds a deep respect for in his heart, and but when he talks about her, there is just absolute adoration in his voice. It's really cool.
It's almost like you can see that he's like glowing with like, oh yeah, she's wonderful, but he doesn't talk about her that way, just his tone and how he does it.
Yep. No, I love the scene where he's reunited with his family. It's so, again, just emotional.
It's heartwarming.
Yeah, very.
As much as the Wander Sale could be a very interesting story if Brandon writes it, I want the Rock novella more.
The Rock novella.
Look, again, Brandon.
Why not both? We could always have
a $20 bill on your name with your name on it if you will just sneak in that line into the book. I want to know if we can smell what the Rock is cooking. If we can just sneak that in. $20, Brandon. I know you make a lot more. But understand, that's a very personal $20.
We can get you some popcorn and mac and cheese too. Because he said those were
Plus-
some of his favorite foods.
And
True.
the other thing is, if we're making them, if we end up getting a movie, it's got to be Dwayne Johnson.
If it's not Dwayne Johnson, I'm gonna be
man.
pissed.
But imagine him in a red wig.
So what? It's Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
I know, but
Playing
Well, I mean,
the Rock.
he's already part Polynesian.
I know.
It'd just be so great. I'd love it. 'Cause think about it. It'd be perfect. They'd just be sitting here talking about, oh, how can you eat those things? Just then have the people's eyebrow raise up. Air sick lowlanders.
I want it so bad.
And it'd be great as he's sitting here, like, as he's hovering over the stew, just look it up. Dwayne Johnson sniffing. It's a thing, and it's amazing. Do it.
And people, and then everybody going up and they get this soup from him and they thank him and he just says, "You're welcome."
You're welcome.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So Amy, is there anything else you?
I mean, I was probably just going to squee about cute scenes. And,
Do it. Do it.
That's
That's
now I
not
got to think back on scenes. I know I have to think about the scenes, and it's hard.
Do you know what squeeing means? Because I don't think you know what
Yes,
squeeing
I know
means.
what squeeing means. It's just you put me on the spot, and my brain goes, "We know they exist, but what are they? We don't know." So,
Squeeze are an autonomous noise that seems to come out of just your vocal cords.
It does, and it's wonderful when it does. So let's see. Shoot, I have not read Oathbringer in too long. What scenes? Do you guys have scenes that what you think would make me squee?
Well, if we're starting, how
there's
about
so
the
many Shallan and Adolin ones.
the trench digging scene for Dalinar when Davani shows up.
And she's like, "Where have you been? It's been like hours, and you're late." And this is before he gets the watch, isn't it?
Yeah,
this is like in the.
This is the scene. She's just like, "I'm gonna get him a watch."
Your brother, she's like, "That's going on the to-do list right now, right there." Yeah, because that's like in Way of Kings, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's Way of Kings. Yeah, that was a fun scene. I loved that one. Where it's like, I know you're being manly and tough and doing things, but you said you were going to do this other thing. I need you to do it now.
See, scenes that make Amy squee, I'm thinking like Shallan and Adolin's conversation in her bedroom.
Oh
where
my
he brings
goodness!
her breakfast.
Yes, that one was wonderful.
Or when they ask
wonderful.
Pattern to be a chaperone.
Yes, he's like, "No mating." Yes, that one is wonderful too.
No
But like the
mating.
scene where she invites him into a room without realizing that he's not a servant, that he's Adolin, and she's wearing like pajamas of some sort, like some sort of nightgown, and her hand is
'cause he apparently
exposed.
knocks like a woman.
He walks like a woman, and she's like, "Well, you're supposed to use two hands," and he's like, "I have a platter full of food. How am I supposed to do that with two hands if I'm
And
carrying
why would you
this?"
ever knock with two hands?
Right.
It's just like, what?
Could you imagine
But
coming
just-
up to a door and just being like, chunk?
No, that sounds like my 5-year-old. I'm gonna bang on the door.
This is the rantings of a madman.
Yes.
I've
but
actually done that to friends before, where they're in a room and I just sort of come up and then I go up to the door and just and you hear a shriek. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, another good scene that I know I've talked about before, but it's when Adolin and Shallan are about to view the storm through like that place where they have like the glass and
Their
they're
first
supposed to-
date.
Their first date, yes. And Adolin's going through his usual stories of honor and glory and talking about things, and she starts taking the analytical view of, "Oh, so how do you go to the bathroom in your armor?" And he starts continuing with the story and goes, "Wait. Oh, and then has to admit that
Normally they ask me about my exploits.
so he's like, "Oh, you want to know about that?" Oh, and he tells her, and so
Well, and
3 times.
It's something that really
It-
endears him to her because
that he's honest about it. Yeah,
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, they keep telling each other the things that they're worried are going to scare the other person away. And the other person responds is, "Cool."
that's cool. I like that. Yeah.
Well, and it's
That he has soiled himself 3 times in battle.
Yeah.
He is so.
And I
he's
think
so
she
used
makes
to
a
the
joke about his
superficial.
people. Yeah.
Because Alethi are all about appearances and looking like and being a certain way, and then here comes Shallan, who's Vorin, or not Vorin. What's the word?
Vedin.
Yeah, that's
Vedin.
right. And they're
And
very,
not only that, backwoods. Vedin.
yeah, they're passionate people, and they're not supposed to hide that stuff.
And she really likes being witty too. And so she pulls that out right and left, which is always fun.
She likes surprising people.
And what I think there was another scene where I think she's coming to sketch some armor at the training fields or whatever like that, and Adolin's like, "Oh, you want to draw mine?" She's like, "No, there's lots of yours in the archives." And he's like, "Oh,
You want me to pose for you?
you want me to pose?" He's like, "Oh yeah, my fiance can totally, that'll be great." And she's like, "No, I want to do all the other ones that haven't been sketched yet." Just totally shoots him down.
Draw me like one of your Thaylen boys.
Oh, is that the title? I like that for title.
I think we lost Jordan.
No. Oh my goodness. Yes. So yes, there's so many cute moments with them. And so many supportive moments and just wonderful moments where I'm like, I want an Adolin. I mean, I love my husband. I really do, but
But the moment an Adolin shows up, Josh is going straight to the curb.
I love you, Josh. I promise. I promise.
This is don't worry, Josh. This is on a recorded line for quality assurance purposes.
Anyway, no, randomly also, I'm actually wearing my real wedding ring today, which is what I took the picture with because I usually wear like a silicone one because then I don't have to worry about ruining it. So I'm actually wearing my wedding ring today.
Cool.
Yeah, which I'm like, wow, my finger feels a little tight because I haven't done that in a while. But yeah, so cute couples, Roshar.
Good times.
Yes. Oh, so
Rosharan.
I remember in a previous one I had mentioned, I think it was the other romance when I mentioned that there was like very few books that have older couples. And I found the book that has the older couple, and it's Raven's Shadow by Patricia Briggs.
Cool.
So, I mean, and they're not like old, but they're like established and have children who are teenagers and things like that for a lot of the books. And so it was nice to see a book that had people who were established and older compared to just the new love and everything.
It's very Fiddler on the Roof. You've got the scene between Tevye and Golda where there's a song he sings her. It's "Do You Love Me?" And she's like, "For 25 years we've been together. I've been doing all this and all this and all this." But she never answers. She's like, "Yes, you've done all that, but do you love me?" And she's just like, and she's rolling her eyes. And finally, she says, like, "I've done all this and this. If that's not love, what is?" And he just gets all giddy. He's like, "So you do love me?"
You do love me.
It's like they've been married for 25 years, but it's just this adorable scene. It's and with some of these older couples, it's really great seeing that.
Yeah. There's a webcomic, Lunar Baboon, and he has a lot of cute.
What?
The title is strange. I know it's called Lunar Baboon. I think. Let me double check that.
So that would mean Baboon of the Moon.
Yes.
Is this about Winston from Overwatch? What's going on?
No, it's called Lunar Baboon anyway. But it's this 30-something dad who just has these cute little short they're usually just black and white comics, but they're really cute. And he talks about depression a lot and different things, and about like respecting his wife's space and things. There's a couple different ones where like his wife is in there and she's like, "Oh, it was a really rough day." And he's like, "Oh, do you want a hug?" And she's like, "No, I don't want to be touched by people." And he's like, "I'll go get the cat," and brings her the cat. And so I mean, it's cute things like that I'm like,
he just gets it. Yeah,
he gets it. And I'm like, and there's another one where he's got a little boy.
They've been together long enough that they understand each other.
Yeah, and there's another one that his little boy is like, he and him are going through and doing all these household chores, and his kid's like, "Well, why are you doing this?" He's like, just wait and see. And then they're hiding behind the couch. The wife walks in and she's like, "Oh, somebody did all my chores." And she's all happy about it. And he's like, "That's why." So it's just cute seeing media made for people. I feel weird saying this, but my age, because I'm in my mid-30s now, which feels really weird to admit. Because you never feel like you're actually that old. You're like, no, those are old people. I'm not that old, obviously, but I am.
Yep.
So, Yeah. So anyway,
Yep,
if you
yep.
want a cute little comic, Luder Baboon.
Yep.
No, we are not sponsored at all.
Yet. All right.
Fingers
Well, this has been a fun conversation. I've enjoyed it. Now, of course, moving on, thanks to our patrons, we are able to hold monthly giveaways, and all of our giveaways are, of course, open to everyone and free to enter. For this giveaway, we have to apologize again. Ironically enough, the last time this happened, it was right before Amy talked about
I promise
part one
it's
of the
not
romance.
meant to be a trend. It's not meant to be a trend.
But yeah, so we this is my fault. I never got our last giveaway post up, so we are going to put it up in the next few days. Promise. Now, to remind you, the item that we're giving away this time is a paperback copy of Arcanum Unbounded. So you can look across the stars for your favorite star-crossed lovers of the Cosmere. I was proud of that one. So
That was
and
very nice.
we will get that posted in the next day or two.
So when this goes up on
yes.
YouTube.
And I really like the prompt that Jordan and I actually came up with.
That was cute.
So what we want is we want you to enter this. We're going to post it on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we want you to post your favorite, what was it you said, crack pairings?
Yes, crack Cosmere pairings.
Of
The ones
Cosmic
you know
Pairings.
have no chance whatsoever, but you want.
So your weirdest, like, not weirdest, but because we want you to defend it as well. But your pairings of characters in the Cosmere, who you want together, who you ship.
Like mine would be ideally Kelsier and Yesna.
Kelsier and Yasna, is that what you
Yeah.
said? Oh my!
Where she says, no, I'm not interested, and Kelsier's just like, haha.
Worlds will
Challenge
burn.
accepted.
Some men just want to watch the world burn, and
I
think
can
Jordan
tell
is
you
one
have
of
a thing
those.
for one-eyed men with spikes.
On that note, special thanks to the Brandon Sanderson online store at store.brandonsanderson.com for sending us these great things to give away and share with our listeners. We do love hearing from our listeners, so please keep sending in your questions and feedback about the show. You can ask us about the Cosmere. You can drop us your idea for topics you'd like us to discuss during the show. You can ask us how we're doing, because sometimes it's just nice for somebody to care. While you're at it, we do want to hear your feedback about how you think we're doing, as well as any interesting theories that you might have about what's going on in the Cosmere. You can send all of your questions and suggestions in a brief, concise email to cosmerestudies@gmail.com, and hopefully we might even be able to read it as part of the show. Now, we've also got a bonus assignment of a little homework for you, if you want to.
If you want.
No real bonus on this, but just if you feel like playing along.
Maybe I'll sing it for you afterwards.
We'd like you to find a modern love song, rewrite the lyrics to apply to a couple in the Cosmere. Just for funsies, it's what Hoyd would want you to do.
We don't want to disappoint Hoyd.
I'm pretty sure. You don't want to make Hoyd sad.
I know.
Now, of course, outside the show, we have all got our own personal projects. For myself, when I'm not here, I do have a bunch of board game reviews over at the Innkeeper's Table at www.innkeeperstable.com. I do post about games on social media sometimes, so go check those out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Innkeeper's Table. Still working on actually getting another review up. It's been way too long, and life happens sometimes, and I apologize for life happening. But Jordan, where can we find your work?
Best spots are twitch.tv/splicestream or YouTube/splicestream. Literally just got done before this with the first day of the Professional Amiibo League. The best attendance ever on stream. Things went nuts, and if I look sweaty, it's because my chat did things that made me do 128 curls and have made my treadmill go faster.
That's a lot of curls.
It is, and it hurt, and they kept doing it. What I'm learning
You gave them
is
that power.
I gave them that power, and apparently they used that power to cause me pain. I don't know what this says about my fans, but it says something.
I mean, these are people who come to watch digital amiibos beat each other up.
It's true.
they do watch digital cockfighting, so
Gotta know your audience.
I need better fans. So you listening here, if you could just show
Not that
up.
he wants to lose his current fans.
so
At
to his
this
current
point, what they've done to me, take them or leave them.
so to his current fans, what he's saying is hurt him more. He's calling for you to seek revenge on what his betrayal right now. Amy, where can we find you outside of the podcast?
I am on Facebook at Coincidence Cosplay and Props. My Twitter is at Coincidence Cosp, with an ending with a P because my name is too long. My Instagram is at Coincidence_Cosplay, and my website, where I sell dice and other random things, is www.coincidencecosplay.com. Right now, just a sec. Oh, I can't reach it. Hold on.
For our audio listeners, Amy is reaching off screen and grabbing
A child-sized dragon. He doesn't have much of a face yet, but he's going to be a backpack.
Put him more in the center.
More in the center? I'm sorry, I can't tell. I'm bumping all the things. This
which
is
would
his
you
tail.
rather fight?
Here is what?
Which would you rather
Child-sized
fight? A
dragon
child-sized dragon or a dragon-sized child?
I think I'm going to go with the child-sized dragon.
Yeah, I'm with her on this.
That sounds slightly less scary. But yeah, anyway, so I'm working on him. I hope to have him done very soon. I will hope to restock my store with lots of dice, because I've got fabric hanging on my staircase. It needs to be cut up and made into dice. And then I'm also finally hoping to finish fixing up my Queen Eleanor wig. So yeah, that's what I'm up to. Too
All
much
right.
sewing.
That
Awesome.
and the dragon-sized child issue.
See, he's right here. He's so pretty with his blank face.
Now, for those of you who do want to support the show, but you can't become patrons just yet for whatever reason, we'd love it if you'd head over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts and drop us a review. That'll help us out. Or even more helpful, recommend us to anybody that you know who enjoys the Cosmere. Just share the podcast with people. Just spread the word, boost the signal.
Because you can't stop a signal.
Can't stop the beat.
Remember the Alamo.
Indeed.
Yeah. Anyway, now, any final thoughts on these romantic pairings and just love across the stars?
If you are anywhere near us and you cosplay as Adolin, when I have my Shalon done, then let me know and we can take photos and it'll be great.
And apparently
In
you
a
have a
non-creepy
chance.
manner. You broke me! Oh my goodness! No,
Oh, that's
pictures
amazing.
only. Pictures only.
That
I am a
said,
happily
yes,
married
that
woman.
In addition to the live episodes of the show that stream on twitch.tv/innkeeperstable every 2 weeks on Monday nights at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, listeners can find our videos on YouTube or audio versions of the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and just about anywhere else that carries podcasts by searching for Cosmere Studies. You can also follow us and contact us through Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook under the profile at Cosmere Studies. Now, do you hear that rumbling? It feels like things have really been building up and everything is about to break loose. That's because for our next episode, as we're leading up to the 2-year anniversary of the show, we are going to be looking at Brandon's trademark avalanche, or Sanderlanche as some people like to call it, that happens at the end of most of his books. It has become a major part of our enjoyment of Brandon's work, because once you cross that line that there is no stopping until you come out the other side. So make sure to join us live in chat on March 9th, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/innkeeperstable. Until then, on behalf of Amy, Jordan, and myself, thanks for listening, and remember,
There's
There's always another secret. Go, Rosh-mance!